Hi, welcome back to the Trial by Jennifer podcast series. I am your host, Jennifer Butterfield, and I'm really stoked because today I have a guest who I actually don't know personally. And so this is my very first guest on the show who was referred to me by a previous guest and friend. And so, Austin Davis, I'm super glad you're here. You have 40,000 plus YouTube subscribers, goal of mine. Welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to talk to new people and meet new people. So, man, to answer that question, tell me about myself. I'm honestly, it sounds kind of cliche, but like when people answer this question, but like I don't think I'm a special individual. I really tend to be like really, really humble and whatnot. So sometimes when like people like introduce me, like and they'll say all this stuff, it's just like, look, like I'm a really average guy. Grew up in South Austin, born in California, moved here in 2000.
Cool.
Went through the public school system. I used to TP houses as a kid, ding dong ditch, all the things that we all did when we were kids. I was an average kid. I didn't grow up, with middle class. Played sports, so it wasn't until I got to my mid to or low 20s till I really started to figure things out and kind of get my own little pathway. So, didn't go to college or anything. Actually, my sister was the first Davis to actually graduate college or go to college and graduate college in the last like 75 years, dating back to my dad's dad. And so my whole family, even on my mom's side, didn't do the traditional school system. And we're fixing to get into your comment, because you had mentioned something about. Well, I'm not going to misrepresent what you said. We'll get into that in a little bit. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's just a little bit about me. I own and operate a cleaning business here in Austin, Texas, just like your previous guest, Kevin. So we're rated either number one or number two, depending on where you're looking at. And I've been doing this YouTube thing for the last 2 years, and we'll get into how that started. But yeah, like you said, 40,000 subscribers, and the goal is just to kind of keep making videos and keep helping people try to open up a new pathway for people, try to open up people's minds, and, just because there's a lot of misinformation out there, and there's a lot of information, and I'm just here to give you my 2 cents. So.
I love it. I mean, there's so many things I want to respond to. First of all, yeah, I'm super grateful that you're coming on the show. I relate so strongly. I'm the first person in my family to go to college, first generation college student, and I'm non-traditional. So I went,
Congrats.
I'm in recovery from alcoholism. And so I began that journey at 28 and then was like, I want to become a lawyer. And by the time I finished my undergraduate degree, I was like, man, the ROI on a law degree compared to what the investment is up front, I was like, I'll do like some kind of a STEM thing. But I've just been kind of flying by the seat of my pants with all of the academic enrichment. But I will say that I'm really excited to talk to you about that piece and then also growing your YouTube channel and your business too as a business owner. I've been in Austin my whole life and I'm really excited. I want to ask you a little bit more. I know you spoke about being a middle class family, but I ask all my guests this question. What was the conversation around personal finance like in your home growing up? Like, how did your parents talk to you about money?
Yeah, man, personal finance wasn't really. My parents got divorced when we were 12, so growing up, I like to say I had a really good childhood, but the nuclear family concept where mom and dad and the kids sit at the dinner table every night, take the kids to school in the morning. I didn't necessarily have that.
Right.
Spent 2 weeks with my mom, 2 weeks with my dad, back and forth, back and forth. And they were really busy with work. I actually grew up in mostly like nanny care for the most part, but that's not my mom and dad did a fantastic job raising me, I would say.
I'd say so.
But as far as personal finance goes, the message was work hard, and they never really told me that I should go to school in order to solve my finances. That was mostly portrayed to me by my teachers and friends and colleagues at the time. But because my parents are in real estate and sales,
Mm-hmm.
my uncle's in sales, my grandfather, everyone everyone made money by offering some kind of service, product or service. That's how they made their money. And so they never fed that to me that I needed to go to college. Although, you know, every time I got bad grades and whatnot, they would, get on me and whatnot. But they didn't tell me. They did say that I shouldn't be spending money on stupid stuff, which is what I alluded to earlier. How I didn't really start figuring it out till I was in about 21.
Mm-hmm.
Because from when I was like 16 to 20, I was spending money on all kinds of stupid stuff. But I do think a lot of kids spend money on stupid stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, I didn't really have my personal finances really figured out. I mean, it really took me figuring out to just go on YouTube and go down a rabbit hole of
Right.
all new information, because and we're fixing to get into the whole education thing. But I truly believe that the education system that's in place right now, it worked when our whole family and all of our parents were in college, because if you didn't have a piece of paper that said that you accomplished something, no one's going to take you seriously.
Yeah.
Now we're on a little bit of a different stage. I mean, all you have to do is go listen to some Dave Ramsey episodes that he does every day, and you have these callers coming in. I graduated college, I have all this debt, I can't get a job, or whatever, what have you, and there's some financial disparity.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I'm rambling, so I want to get you to your next question. But
Yeah.
the personal finance, I mean, no, I was just told that I needed to work.
Yeah. No, I love it. First of all, I agree. Like the dopamine from spending as a kid, right? Like, there's something a little bit deeper than what meets the eye, I think. And as the prefrontal cortex begins to develop and we start to mature and our decision make, I should speak for myself, but the
Sure.
human mind starts to mature and delayed gratification becomes a thing. It's an
Yeah.
interesting concept. And yeah, I mean, like, just to kind of kick off this next question, like for me, I didn't have, I think, like the confidence that a degree was able to give me. And I look back now where I'm standing. I graduated in May from St. Edward's University. I'm in debt because of it, but I have like a different grounding under my feet. But I look back and I'm like, man, if I could have just like navigated that, because there's so much information out there and it's so readily available, and a lot of it is free, And so I'm
Mhm.
curious, I posted a reel last week about an unpopular opinion I think that I have, that, if a woman is going to stay at home with her kids, it's still a good investment to go to school for $50,000 and get an undergraduate degree, even if she's going to stay at home. And so I'm curious, can you share a little bit more about like,
Well, just some background on
yeah,
that. When I said that, I don't mean to just say,
about women,
single women shouldn't.
right?
I'm talking about as a whole. It really
Investment,
depends on how you look at the as a whole.
right?
Yeah, I'm not trying to single out single women.
Right.
So
That's good.
it really depends how you look at the college thing. Because how I say it, like if my kids were to come up to me and say, "Hey, I want to go to college," well, I would ask them, or any person, like, what are you looking to get out of college?
Right.
Is it to get an education? Education for what? Do you need an education to learn to go out there and make money? Because if you want to go out there and make money, college is not where you should go to learn how to make money.
Mm-hmm.
My parents, and some people, mentors of mine, just like, you can't learn how to make money from people that are barely paying their bills. Because I love teachers; those are some of the most great people in the world, but a lot of them are struggling financially. So, you're learning business from people who teaching a business class. They've never owned a business. They're teaching a class that they know almost nothing about. That they're getting fed education on the government is telling them what you should teach these
Mm-hmm.
kids. And I'm a firm believer that, and I say this a lot on my channel, it's that the government right now and the education system is breeding through school workers, and that's fine because we need workers, right? But I think a lot of people that watch my channel, they know that, like, they want something different for themselves. They don't want to stay and work. They feel like they're on a hamster wheel. They feel like they're in this circular phase in life where they go to work, they come back, they go to work, they come back. They're not advancing in life. And I know you talk a lot about
Yeah.
investing. That's great. People need to start doing that too. But I think moreover, when it's just like, wow, for 50,000, like for that example, $50,000, you go to school and you want to spend $50,000. and let's say you don't want to learn how to make money, you're spending $50,000 on what? I would say that you could take that $50,000 and do a lot of other things that could solve that issue, right? I mean, I just don't know. I mean, I'm not downing. I think people like to interpret that I'm a downer on college. It's just that it really needs to be more of a thought of decision than it is right now, because people go out of school and they just think, got to go to college. They have not asked themselves, or their parents have not asked them, what is it that, are you trying to
Right.
accomplish? And they just waltz into this $100,000 4-year decision without thinking about it. And I know you probably have friends.
Oh yeah.
You have friends, obviously, but I
We
have
have
friends.
friends.
We have friends, okay, that are having
Yeah.
issues, and this is a problem across the country. And the school systems are not talking about it enough. Well, why? Because these loans are government funded. Everyone can get one. You don't need to qualify for a student loan for the most part. Anyone can get a student loan, right? Doesn't matter what the debt is. Anyone can go and get a federally backed student loan because it's federally backed, which means they don't want to start talking about the risks of going to college, because there is risks. You're it's like an 18-year-old signing off on $100,000
Yeah.
decision that they're
Yeah.
responsible for, and so it's huge. And unless you want to be a doctor, lawyer,
Yeah.
engineer, things that now those are things that make really
Right.
good money, and I can see the investment of paying
Right.
off. But wow, to go get a business administration degree to learn business from someone who's never owned a business before that you spend $100,000 to do, that's a risk. I would tell someone, man, go learn sales, go into a sales job, an entry job, something that has bonuses, something that you can learn quick from actual business people. And and if you want to be a business, right? That's why you went to school, to learn business. Go work for a business owner and start, making money, and then you can start going, because you're going to learn so much more about business, in those 4 years that I was operating my business and trying to, start my life, and everyone was in college. Man, I learned so much about business, and just from a young 20-year-old. And then by the time my friends were graduated, I was already that much ahead financially with experience and education. So that's where I'm at right now. Unless they start to fix some of these stuff in the education, like I just don't, I don't know. I think differently on some of this stuff, and it's an obvious issue that no one talks about, and people are having like struggling right now because of the student
I
loan crisis.
completely agree with a lot of what you said. So it's interesting because there are nuances to every situation. Like I go to a private university, and so I was awarded quite a bit of like grants, tuition scholarships, and I would say most of the professors have been very successful, like in their own businesses and things like that. Like I would say a good portion of them have been through academia, but in tandem with like doing something like I had one of my professors on the podcast who is VP of HR with Cisco Technologies. And no, he wasn't running the business, but he was, overseeing a huge human resources department. So that was great for
Mm-hmm.
that. But I will say I think that it is such a huge liability and there's so much conditioning with young people who again can't even like they can't drink alcohol. Their prefrontal cortex is not finished developing, right? So they're not really even able to kind of fathom what kind of a ball and chain they're going to be undertaking. I probably could guarantee that at least 75% of those signing off on those master promissory notes don't understand compound interest and the way that unsubsidized loans accrue while you're in school.
Oh
You know?
yeah, and the and it's not like you're just paying every month. It's going towards
Nope.
the note.
Nope.
I mean, people would say that buying a car, a $60,000 brand new car, is like, you're an idiot. Why wouldn't you pay cash for it, or why would you finance that? The interest rates are insane. But there's no issue at all with spending double, or in some cases
Right.
triple, for a degree that you might not even use, or you don't even know if you want to do. I mean, it's just like,
Yeah.
wow. And the education system, they don't want to talk about
Right.
that, right? That's keeping everything paid
Mhm.
for and everything. And so I just think there's a lot more opportunity, and especially because, like, we're breeded to go, through schools. Like, hey, if you don't go to college, you're not going to be successful. Well, what does that mean when they say that we're not
Yes.
going to be successful? Because the success can be defined on so many levels. But I assume that they're talking about we're not going to be financially
Well,
successful, right? We're going to school to get a degree. That way, we can get a job. I mean, this. No one wants to talk about money either, but everyone gets out of bed in the morning to go get
Right.
money. So let's just call it what it is, right? People go to school, get an education, so they can get a
Right.
job. And so I'm at the point where it's like, man, you don't need to go to school to learn how to make
Right.
money. You can go to school to learn how to get educated on a certain subject and which you want a degree for, and maybe that degree is going to give you that your perfect your dream job at Oracle. Maybe you just love
Right.
Oracle. Well, that's great. I love that for you, right? But if you have no idea what you want to do, but you just think that you need to go to college to learn how to make
Yes.
money, that is not what you need to do, because you can take 80 grand and you can give 80 grand to sales coaches, learn how to learn sales. You can become for $10,000 you can take a course on learning how to sell, overcoming objections, learning how to persuade and influence and build emotion in a product or a service. You turn into a killer and you can make all the money in the
Mhm.
world. So we really need to start having these bigger and better conversations about why we are doing
Well,
certain
and but
things.
okay, and so this is really, I love that we're having this conversation. I need to have more and more guests that I don't know come on the show, because I've had these conversations with friends, and it's a different thing. But the thing that's coming up to my mind is like, they won't give you a loan if you are 18 years old, you have no credit built up. Maybe your parents took out a card in your name and started building credit for you with like gas or something, paying it off. But like,
But they'll send you to
right,
war if you're 18.
right. And so,
That you can join them. You can join the military, but then when you come home, you're not. You're still a kid because you
well,
can't drink.
so that's the thing. It's like, so well, if they're selling that education is the ticket to freedom, right? Which we know today that like the purchasing power of this generation is like less than half of what it was back in the 70s
Sure.
or the 90s. I just think that like, looking at it realistically, we're about to witness the largest transfer of wealth
Transfer of
from
wealth.
from the
Yeah.
baby boomers to, I'm hoping, straight to the millennials. We'll just skip over Gen X, zillennials. But I
Mm.
think it's a really interesting conversation, because it's like, well, what do we tell the 18-year-old that is in a disadvantaged socioeconomic environment and wants to get ahead, but can't get a loan for $80,000 unless they go to school,
I tell them to go get
Yeah.
skills
Yeah.
because you're paid, and I say this on my channels. The difference between where you are now and where you want to be is the gap in your skill
Yeah.
set. We have kids right now that know how to edit and play video games are making $1 million.
Yeah.
So this whole thing about needing education, it's flawed every way you look. Man, this is where things can get twisted, because I am not X or what's it called? I'm not I don't. It's not like I don't like education.
Right.
Obviously, you need an education, but I would argue outside of like ninth and 10th grade levels, physics and math and everything, a lot of that is just like fluff. That's why sometimes I'm considering like homeschooling, because I swear my 10th grader, if they're about it, I'm going to teach them how to go out there and
Mhm.
just kill it. Like, know how to talk. I mean, these are real world
Right.
skills: how to talk to people, how to sell and persuade, how to win friends and influence people. Man, what a
Yeah.
great book! These are just real world skills that people really need to know. And you know, that's just where we are right now. And it's all in the numbers. All you got to do is look at all these people, these kids. I mean, I will watch the Dave Ramsey
Mhm.
show, and I'm not the biggest fan of
Right.
him, but these situations that
Oh,
these young people
I've
are
heard,
in,
I listen
like,
to him sometimes. I
wow,
mean, like
uh,
$40,000, and he's not even finished with school. Like, I'm sure that you've seen some of
yeah,
those clips too, but yeah, no, I
mm,
agree. It's atrocious. It's like, how do you get yourself in these positions? I feel grateful I'm in a comfortable position with the amount of debt that I have. Like, I'm doing business analytics, so it's a lot of coding and Python, and I'm planning on
oh
translating
wow,
that specifically to my business to drive bottom line profits.
that's
But
awesome. Way over my head right there.
that's why I want to talk to you, is because the one of the ways that I want to do that is through expanding reach and audience. And before we get into that part of the conversation, I'm curious, tell me a little bit about how you like bootstrapped and started your business. And yeah, I'm
Okay.
curious about that.
Well, just I actually wanted to go to expand on a further point that I said
Yeah.
previously, but then I went somewhere
Yeah.
else with it. Like, I would tell the person that is that is just distraught, doesn't know what he wants to do with his life, and he's younger, but doesn't have that, can't go to college for whatever reason. I think I'm hearing my voice in the back. Okay, I think it's better. Is to go out there and get skills like that dude that is. I'm hearing my voice again.
Let me see
I
if
don't know why
there's
that is.
echo cancellation. Oh, it's on.
Okay, I'm not sure, but man, like editing right now. Learn how to edit. Learn how to do all these different things. That I mean, if you're a really good YouTube editor, like you can make so much money. And so that's why I say like look at a market, see what people need, and then go learn how to do it. Like these are easy skills that anyone can learn. And we're talking about making the same kind of money or more than what you do right out of college. This is funny because my sister, like the one that Rolling Davis to graduate college, got a degree in business systems from UT last year. Got a job offer, $50,000 a year out of college, plus bonuses if she hits certain client, goals. She can't go down the street and get an apartment. We're talking about a $1,400 apartment. You do 3 times, take the gross of her check, which is gross. It's $3,900. Okay, 1,400 times 3. You need to make 3 times the rent. She can't get an apartment. So she spent 4 years, 80,000. I'm not even sure. Mm-hmm. My mother won't even tell me how much that costs. And my mother had to co-sign on her apartment. So that's just one example. I love my sister. She's doing really great right now. She's making a bit more money because she got a raise. But it's just like these things, right? Okay. And did you want to?
No, I just want to
what you said.
Congratulations to your sister on her degree, and I hope that the housing market here in Austin starts to pan out in all of our favor, but specifically those who are like brand new out of college students. I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that. And please feel free to go into the next question.
Okay, and you were asking me.
So like as far as your business and how you got started, and I think one of the things that I'm like most curious about is scaling, and what that's looked like. How'd you get started?
Yeah, I just did a video on this for my YouTube channel 2 days ago, and it was an 8-minute video. I went into detail about this, but so it started, and so this is great that you asked this question, and you're kind of a personal finance channel because this kind of goes into what we were taught, right? We were taught. I was growing up saying I didn't go to college, so they said, "Hey, Austin, you need to work, and you need to work a lot. That's how you make money." And I was 21 years old, and I was like, "Man, if I just work a lot, I'm going to make money." So I was a full-time landscaper during the day. I delivered parts at night for an automobile company. I would have to go all over Austin surrounding areas delivering parts to these dealerships after hours. Like, so 7 to 2 p.m. I was landscaping. From like 6 to 1 a.m. I was delivering parts. And I was like, man, I'm working so much. And I'm like, after my paychecks, because I was W-2, after my, the taxes, I'm really not like getting anywhere, like 600, $700 a week or whatever. This is like 7, 8 years ago. I was like, if work isn't the issue, because it depends how, like, everyone says like you need to work. It's like no. It's like what you are actually working on, right? It's like what value are you putting in the marketplace? And so I was like, okay, work isn't the problem, or work's the problem. Like, I need to figure out how to make money. And so I was driving down the highway and I saw a dealership, and it was a car dealership. And I said, you know what, I can probably do this. I walked right in, asked for an application. 1 week later, did an interview, and I was hired, right? I actually just dove completely into the car business. I was just fanatic by it. I would research how to sell. This is where I got into books, sales books, YouTube trainings, paid for a little sales course from one of these sales YouTubers that I followed, dove into like how to respond to certain objections that you get from people. And man, I really started to ascend at that particular dealership. I was top sales for like 6 months in a row, completely changed my financial situation. I went from like making like $2 or $3 grand to like making $8 to $10 grand a month just selling cars. And so I was like completely life-changing for me. I did it for 1.5 years, and I was able to put myself in a duplex because I was living at my parents' house when I was 20 years old. I got my own place. I got my own car because before I didn't have a car. I was leasing my dad's 20-year-old truck. My dad's old school. He wouldn't let me just take his truck. He was like, well, the truck's a 2003 and it's 20 years depreciated. And if we multiply that times 12 months, I can put your payment at $300. Like, this is a 250,000 mile truck. And so I paid him 300
Oh
bucks a
my god.
month to rent this truck from him. And as I was still, and I used that for landscaping, right? And I was driving to the car dealership with it, right? And I started making some money selling cars, and I felt like I finally got my first taste of success, my first taste of money. Got myself, I leased a brand new Volkswagen, which, that's a whole other discussion if those are good ideas or not. But I got myself a new car, got myself a place, food. I stocked up. I got myself clothes, all this stuff. Then a year and a half was in it, and one day I just looked up, and a year and a half went by. I
Right.
was working 80 hours a week, Monday through Saturday. You don't get off days. If anyone who works in car sales, you live at the dealership. You do not go home but to sleep, and your ass is right
You're
back.
good.
Sorry, I don't mean to cuss, but
Explicit
like your
content
butt
is
is right.
welcome.
Okay, cool. My ass
Yeah.
was going to and from work, and like going out,
Right.
girlfriends, all that was off the table. And I was like, wow, I need to get my life back. And so I went on YouTube, and I talk about this on my channel, like how I got into pressure washing. I went on YouTube as I was sitting at my desk, and I type in how to make money for yourself.
So cool.
And I know, how do you make money working for yourself? Because I was like, I can't
Yeah.
work for somebody else. This is ridiculous. And I saw this kid power wash a driveway and made $300, and it took him 1 hour. And I was like, what the hell? This kid made $300 power washing a driveway. It took him 1 hour. And I'm sitting right here all day hoping to sell one car in which I will make $300 at a minimum. Sometimes it's more, but sometimes I won't even
Right.
sell a car a whole day. Right. And I was like, wow. And so I basically immediately took action on that. Didn't even ask myself if I liked power washing. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm just going to dive right into it. And went to Home Depot, got myself a power washer, dove in, just like I dove into research about car sales. I dove into the YouTube research about everything exterior cleaning, how to set up your business, how to scale, how to get jobs, how to get leads, how to talk to people, how to do the cleaning work, and just straight up just went all in on it. And I think I did it on Sundays. So I promote my business through the week, like on Facebook posts, and after work I'd leave and go put out yard signs. After I got up, working the dealership, I put out little, pressure washing with my number, all these neighborhoods. I'd be all excited because like I'm getting off of work selling cars. I'm gonna go promote my business. Man, it was the most fulfilling thing, even though I was making no money. I was doing something that had my name on it,
It
which is
is.
like super cool. And I remember the first job I ever had, it was a house wash in a driveway, and I charged $600 for it, and it was the best money I've ever made. And it wasn't because it was the
Yeah.
most, but it was because it was mine. And after I got that, I was like, I'm gonna freaking do this mother
Yes.
effer pressure washing business. And I just went all in on it. And like fast forward 5 years, like now we're here, and it's just been like such a blessing, and it's the best thing I've ever done. And that's why, and a lot of people quit their little small, their small business, whatever business they're doing,
Right.
is because they get discouraged, they're not getting jobs or what have you. And it's like, man, like anyone who, like, it sounds so cliche too, but it's just like you have got to stay consistent. Like if it's posting content, like no one, it's so funny how people like jump into something, and if they don't hit a jackpot, they just, they're gonna go out the back door. It's like just like with content, like, oh, I posted 6 TikToks that I didn't get any views. What'd you
Yeah.
expect? It's, so that's how I started. And then 4 years now, like, you see us, we're working every day. Kevin, I met Kevin out there too, and he works with me
That's
sometimes. We
cool.
subcontract each
Oh,
other.
I just love it
It's
so
been
much.
awesome.
I get excited because I started Trial by Jennifer in July. And it was right after I graduated, and I was laid off from a role that had promised me like the most money that I was going to be making, and like in my career, and right out of college. And then I was like, I don't ever want to work another 9 to 5 ever again. Like, I will do whatever it takes to get out from underneath making somebody else richer. Like, I think our time, like, I can
Mm-hmm.
taste the freedom when you were talking about that $600 on that first house that you did. And that's one of the things I think, like, why personal finance has become so important to me. It's like, financial literacy in itself, so many people weren't given like tools or education around those things. And so Like I love hearing the non-conventional, the non-traditional route and saying like, yes, you can do it, because it's the thing about business that, and I guess this is what was exciting for me, is like anything can happen in like the blink of an eye, you know? And it's like it's really
Mhm.
something, and consistency really is key, you know? But I think um this is a great opportunity to kind of pivot into the YouTube digital media space, because I mean 40,000 subscribers, like that's kind of a big deal. And especially YouTube, it's a very highly saturated platform. There's so many people on here doing stuff. And so, like, when did you get started with that part? And like, can you talk a little bit about some of like the various stages in the growth with the channel?
Yeah. Wow. So I was a year and a half into my cleaning business, and I had already learned a lot off YouTube. And obviously, I've been watching. Everyone's been watching. Everyone watches YouTube, right? I don't listen to music. I just watch YouTube. I'm going on the car, and so I have so many people that I watch and whatnot. And like sometimes, when you're watching a video and you hear someone say something, and then in your head you're like, oh, I kind of disagree. Like this is my point,
Yep.
but you say it yourself in your head. Anyway, so I don't know how exactly, but I was watching a video of someone cleaning, and he might have said something like, "Oh, I think he does it this way, but I do it this way." And I was like, you know what? Tomorrow I'm just gonna go film myself. And so I filmed myself. I forgot what it was. You have to look. But I, uh, I I did a house, and then I basically on the video I was like, hey guys, like I wrap my hoses around this side of the yard. The reason I go this way is because if I go this way, I'm gonna because where my truck's positioned, I have more obstacles to go around over here. So this way's going to be a lot better if you plan on
Mm-hmm.
pulling up that house in this
Right.
direction, right? And I basically what I started doing is just started
Mm-hmm.
sharing my 2 cents as far as the cleaning business goes. And then what happened was people started viewing it, and then people were like, "Hey, I agree with that," or "Hey, I learned something. Hey, thanks for sharing your point." And then after the first couple of videos, started getting some comments like, "Oh wow, like people are actually like subscribing,
Mm-hmm.
like they care what I say." Like not that I ever cared what people said, but
Yeah.
like I just thought it was really cool. Because growing up, I see these big YouTubers like, man,
Mm-hmm.
like these big YouTubers, like right, but and so I just started making content on just on cleaning, sharing my points, and then and I think what people appreciate with me is it's really is genuine content. You can go through my channel and see me at my lowest, and I'm still there making videos like, dude, guys, like I failed my freaking real estate exam, and like I haven't had any jobs in like 3 weeks, and like I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. I'm sitting there like this. I have a video like this, like one of my first few videos, and I have shared every single step of progression from when I had my dad's truck to my first work truck, 20-year-old work truck, to my first system that I ever built, to getting my first jobs, to making customers upset, to killing, replacing plants, everything. You can see everything. Whereas a lot of these channels, it's all like he's a hero. Like you don't see the backside of things. And I feel like when you watch the content, it's really people can relate to it. I think that's what if you look at. I posted something on my Instagram story today. It was a comment that I received, and this guy was just like, Austin, like I've been looking for content, and when I saw your the first video I saw of you, I instantly thought jackpot. Like here's someone that I can actually relate to. Like you're just a 20 something year old kid out there not preaching about how to make $1 million. Like I'm preaching about things that everyday people can do. And so I think what was
Well,
the latter part of your original
scaling,
question?
yeah,
Like, how
like
did I
how
grow
to
it?
the channel and how it's grown. But I
Yeah.
mean, like also one thing that's coming to mind, not to, pile too many on you, but like in those moments of vulnerability, right, where you're sharing like your struggle or your strife, like are people like have you had some haters like while you're down, kick you while you're down, or is that typically like
No, I don't. I mean, you every time you make a video, everyone's
right?
gonna share. Everyone has an opinion, and if they comment that opinion, they comment that opinion. But I would say
You're supported.
95% of people,
Good. Yeah.
always have good things. Most of the people that will comment really just don't they don't
Right.
respectfully, they don't know what they're talking about. These are people that
Yeah.
are not in the business, and like for instance, I'll post a video saying, hey, we made $500 cleaning this house, we'll get someone that says, I am a power washer. I would never do that. I would never pay someone like
Right.
that. I'm
That's
like, okay, great. You know,
right.
it's not for, respectfully, I'm talking to people
Yeah.
who want to better
Good.
themselves, right? Um,
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah,
that that
yeah,
person
yeah.
didn't.
No, no, I'm
But
glad you mentioned that. Okay, so yeah, scaling.
yeah, so basically, it got to a point. I didn't ever think that I was going to grow a
Right.
YouTube channel. That was never a goal of mine. But the goal was just to make videos and it was something that I could do in my spare time because I wasn't at the time. I was just getting the groove of my business and started making videos, and it really did start taking off. And I started just expanding on stuff. I mean, on my channel now, I have so many different topics. I have cleaning, scaling a business, how to get customers. I talk about then I what I'm starting to do is do studio videos where I'm just talking about just a multitude of different things like how to just better yourself. And like now I'm starting to get into education stuff, but the scaling kind of came in when I think I had like 500 or so subscribers, and I started getting a rally of people like behind me. They were like, Austin, like I don't know what it is, but like you're just it, and I'm gonna be with you. Like I want to see you do this, and I was like, wow, like you see some of these comments, especially when you're feeling down, and then all of a sudden you'll get a comment saying like, Austin, like you inspired me, or what started to happen is I would get people call me because what I'll do is I would open up my channel, my videos back then. Hey, this is Austin with
Hmm.
the name of my company, and people would look at my company and call me,
Yeah.
and I would get like husband and wife, or like, hey Austin, this is Mark. I just want I'm sitting here at the kitchen table with my wife. We're watching your videos, and we want to get started. This is like we're just sold.
Wow,
I'm
that
like,
is so
wow,
cool.
yeah. And I would get the craziest thing was I got a picture of this guy at his living room on his living room L-shaped couch. He had a beer in his hand, and he has a big flat screen in the living room, and he has his kids watching my video, watching the kids and the wife eating dinner, and the kids are playing with their toys on the carpet, and my
Whoa.
videos on the flat screen. And I was like, oh my god, like I can do this, and I was just like, I just went all in on it, and some of my videos have a couple million views, and
Wow.
those really help my channel. And then it started turning into an actual business. Whereas before, I was just making videos to make videos. I never really wanted or cared to make it be a profit or anything. But then obviously you run into YouTube AdSense, which is how YouTube
Right.
pays their creators now. Which is like really cool. I started running into companies reaching out to me with,
And
sponsoring. So we have equipment sponsors, we have website specialists, SEO specialists that want to sponsor. And so now it's just turned on to a full on business. I mean, the YouTube thing is getting almost as big as the power washing, which has just been like super, super cool. And it gives me a way to like scale back on power washing, hire for there, and really go all in with this. Cause like, at the end of the day, like this is like what really gives me fulfillment is because like when I started my YouTube channel, I was like, guys, like there is such an income problem in the country. If everyone just had an extra $500 to $1,000 a month come in, that would change
it really
90% of
could.
people's financial situations. Like if they just had their utilities paid or their food bills paid, like so then it's just like, man, how do we get people to make an extra
Right.
500 to $1,000? And so that's what my whole channel is about, like how to make more money, I guess, but like in a tamed down way, because like everyone on YouTube is trying to teach how to stock trading and drop shipping and all these fancy
Hmm.
these fancy ways of doing it, and no one really wants to shed any light on like the non fancy ways of doing it that anyone can do. I'm just like,
Well,
wow,
you're
why does no
talking
one
about
talk
it,
about
and I'm super glad that you're coming on here to talk about it. And I'm curious because it's like it sounds like you got into the space what, maybe like 2 years ago when you started your business.
it? No,
Okay,
I
so
started the business 4.5 years ago. I've been
yeah,
doing
okay,
YouTube
so
for two
that was
years.
like right as COVID was hitting and really like locking down. And so I'm curious, like, because I think a lot
Yeah,
of things went online then, and that was prime time to get in the market for content creation. And I'm like, in
sure,
terms
it
of
really
new
was.
content creators in such a high volume space like YouTube, what do you think your like number one strategy or recommendation would be?
Well, I think like I was going, but like I said before, like people, they're not consistent. They quit. They post 6 videos, they got no views, and all of a sudden they
Yeah.
don't want to touch content again. You know, like Mr. Beast. Obviously, everyone knows Mr.
I
Beast,
know him
YouTuber. You don't
only
know Mr.
because
Beast?
I found out like once I started the
Oh, I was
channel,
say.
but I was like, what is
Okay. He's the number one YouTuber, right?
blowing up
Almost
like
200 million. He's going insane.
Lamborghinis and like all kinds of weird.
Well, he'll go and give a homeless person 10 grand, but he has sponsors that pay him money, and then he goes and takes that money and gives it to somebody,
Wow.
or gives it to 100 people, right? Give 100 people $1,000, right? It's just like he's actually genius when you think about it. He takes all. It's like he's constantly reinvesting. He doesn't. He lives a modest lifestyle. He lives in a very small house. He's reinvesting everything. That's how he's grown so fast. You're talking about investing. I mean, if you invest
Yeah.
everything, you're gonna get somewhere, right? But oh
Strategy for
man,
new
what was the
content
question?
creators.
Oh yeah, and so Mr. B says we'll say because he did a recent podcast that blew up, and he's being interviewed by Think Media, which is a content creator YouTube channel. They teach people how to grow on YouTube and other platforms. And he's like, "What?" And he's asking Mr. Beast. His name is Jimmy Donald. What's the key to growing? And he's like,
Mhm.
honestly, post videos. And like I don't want to even hear from you until you post 100 videos, because your first 100 videos are
Oh,
going
they
to be crap.
suck.
And if you go look at every YouTube channel that you're a fan of, unless that content creator
Or
has deleted
archived or
his old
whatever.
content or archived it, if it's still there, they are not good
Yeah.
comparatively speaking to where they are now. Like my first 50
Oh,
videos were shit. I knew nothing about you know lighting,
super cringe, right?
backgrounds or camera. Yeah, cringe. You don't
You have
know
no
anything. You don't know
clue.
what you don't know, right? And so that's the number one strategy. And like he'll say it too, and I've always incorporated this, is that you get 1% better every day, right? You learn something. Like I learned a new editing trick. I learned how to do a B-roll with like a cool transition. I have these key lighting right here, and I have this key light right here. I learned how to use editing softwares. I'll script. I learned scripting hacks. Like I incorporate
Yeah.
something every day. And I think a lot of people on my channel has taken notice to that, because like, oh, Austin, I really like that how you edited that
Yeah.
video. Like I can see you're getting better. And so that's been the key
Yeah.
strategy, is just learning how to get better. And you can go in your analytics and you can
That's
learn where people click off,
yes.
like because
Yeah.
your attention, you know. And so I'll go in my videos and I'm like, wow, why
Right.
was there a big drop off right there? And I go to the video and I'm sitting there rambling in the truck for 2 minutes. No one wants to hear that.
Yeah.
So I and so now I know, okay, they don't want to hear, when I start a video, I don't need to go, hey guys, welcome back to the channel, this is Austin Davis, the goal of this channel is to do this and this. They know me. They don't need to hear that. So let's skip all that. Let's go in right into what I'm talking about. And I've noticed that, because most people, like just like you're swiping on TikTok, if you don't
5
catch them
seconds.
in the first 5 seconds,
I
they're done, or even less than that, because TikTok is
yeah.
like really quick. And so what you say, what they hear, and what they read in the first 3 seconds is vital, right? And just like YouTube, because YouTube's different because there's thumbnails and people. It's a search engine.
Mhm.
TikTok's more like entertainment, but the same is true with YouTube. If you're posting videos, the title and the thumbnail, and you delivering on that title and thumbnail is key, really. But I didn't know any of that, and it really is like we're talking about education, like going out there and studying your craft. Like I studied the sales at the car dealership. I studied how to grow a small
Mhm.
business, and I really studied YouTube. I don't know where the book is. Okay, it's in my room, but I have a whole book from Think Media on. It's called YouTube Secrets, and they go down
Okay.
everything you need to know, like what you should be worried about and
That's
focused on.
great. Yeah, no, let's post the link to the book too below, and we'll also link
Okay.
the podcast with Mr. Beast and your channel, so people can get connected with
Okay.
you. And I'm curious, I guess we'll just kind of like wrap it up with this question, but I'm curious, like, can you talk about like the most exciting, or like you talked about the $600 being like the best deal that you've ever made. So I guess let's ask, what's your goal for the business, like YouTube and the pressure washing?
I mean, it depends how you define like goal. Just like how we talked about, like how do you define it? Why are you going to college? It's just like is it monetarily speaking, or like what my goal is for life? I kind of like answering it like what's my
Yeah.
goal for the next 5 years in life. Uh, I want to be home with my kids. I was raised, and God bless my parents, but they were working respectively, and I was raised by a nanny. I would love to just have a business that's fully functional by itself. A YouTube team, myself, maybe one other person, and a group of editors, and I'm basically, money. I'm not gonna put like, oh, I need to be making this much, but I don't want money to be an issue. I want to be able to be at home with my kids. I want to be at their football and
Yeah.
baseball, basketball games. I mean, what a pleasure that would be, seeing as though like a lot of parents can't even go to those things. Like these are like treasurable moments that they don't get to experience. And wow, I would just
Mhm.
love to be able to do that. Take them on vacation and just be there, be a family man, be a dad, be able to raise my kids
Yeah.
myself. Have the opportunity to have a stay-at-home wife if she so pleases. It's just like, yeah, you just be, and then along the way helping people try to
Yeah.
better themselves too. I don't like putting like monetary numbers on it, but just flat out be better, just better yourselves. And there's so many ways to do it, and I think YouTube right now is exposing a lot of them, and especially like when we're talking about COVID and all these content creators coming out and about. I mean, the people, the young people that are out there that are making money in all these different things, at least it opens the door to the conversation that needs to be had, that you shouldn't go to college if you want to learn to make money, because that right there, we know that you go to college. I would argue if you want to go to college, you go to college to get a particular education and really network. If you're going to spend the money, you should be professionally networking and meeting and being friends with a lot of people, because a lot of people are going to college and they're taking advantage that they're around a bunch of young people.
Mhm.
They're drinking, they're partying, they're doing all kinds of stuff, getting themselves into trouble. So I just think that we need to have a better conversation on what real education, real world education looks like, and if spending the money really is worth it, and if it
You know
is,
what you're
really make
doing.
sure you do it right. You do it right, and you know
Yeah.
what you're doing too. So
Austin, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast and joining me. It was such a pleasure to have you, and I hope that I get to have you again. And let's stay connected through YouTube and Instagram. And
yeah.
where can people find you? I know we'll link your channel, but like for Instagram, or what's your
Mhm.
favorite platform aside from YouTube?
Probably Instagram. Yeah, it's Austin
Okay.
underscore Davis 23. So it's just first and last name, Austin Davis.
Great.
They'll be able to find me.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you again, and for those of you tuning in, we will see you next week.
All right. Thank you so much, Jennifer.